buying your first home is a special one. It's a special feeling. The first time that you do that thing, that make that huge purchase, whether it's on your own or with help, that first one is always a crazy feeling. And I remember how that felt to finally get those keys and to be moving into our first house when we just moved to Texas a couple years ago. And it seems like it hasn't been that long since we did that thing, but the decision that we made to buy where we could afford back then, all those years back in San Antonio, have set us up for our life here in Houston today. And I want to give you some of my tips and some of the tricks that I give to some of my first time home buyers as they are making the transition out of renting or living with family into their home. Hi, my name is Aaron. I'm a real estate consultant, and every week I'm helping buyers relocate to and throughout the greater city of Houston. So if you need to know anything about where to eat, sleep, live, play, hit me up morning, noon, or night. I'm your guide to help with your transition. On the screen right now, I'm going to shoot up my number. Shoot me with a text. Send me a carrier pigeon. Texting me is probably the quickest and the easiest way to get in touch with me, but whatever you got to do, all of my info is either going to be on the screen or it's going to be in the bio below. So if you need any assistance at all, like I said, never hesitate, hit me up. And so in this video, I just kind of want to go over some of my top tips and the how-to portion of buying your first home. Like I said, it feels like an adventure. I remember those days, you know, almost 10 years ago now, where it feels like I just was doing this thing. It was a rush. It felt like this thing we were super excited to do. And even at the closing table, I had so many questions that I didn't have answered. I feel like there are so many parts of the process that I didn't quite understand, but hell, we made it. And so I just want to demystify some of that stuff in this video right now. And the first thing that you gotta have if you are going to buy a home and to get out of that role of renting and living with family is to have a mindset shift. This is probably one of the most important things that you can do in this whole entire process, is to have a mindset shift, because so many things are about to change in the world of being a homeowner, right? Whether or not you have the family, friends, the resources, or the mind to fix things as they arise, or to deal with things as they break, or have any of those kind of shifts from being a renter where something breaks and you report it to someone and they just automatically come and fix it and there's no cost to you. Things are going to change a little bit, right? And also, there's like a secondary mindset shift that I think is probably the most important right now, especially as we're seeing interest rates and how house prices are kind of shooting up and kind of getting to a point to where Houston is becoming more and more kind of unaffordable for the average person. It is the mindset shift that getting something that is in your price range and relevant to where you are right now, to where you can feel comfortable, you can still save, you're not house poor, and you can still invest in things that you care about, still live a lifestyle that you're comfortable with, is probably the most important thing. So having that mindset shift that you are about to be the Lord of your land, and that you are going to do something that you feel comfortable with. You want to feel happy about the purchase, but you want to be in a situation where you're in a financially sound mindset and lifestyle, to where you're not too stretched, because as a homeowner, everything relies on you. So hit the comments if that makes sense. I don't want you to be house poor, especially if you're working with me. I want you to make sure that you're comfortable with everything that you're doing. And so that mindset shift is the number one thing. The next thing that we absolutely have to do is we have to get you to reach out to a real estate consultant. So if you're dealing with somebody like myself that is going to be taking care of you and making sure that you are doing exactly what you need to do, you have to reach out to a real estate consultant. And this is probably unpopular. If you ask 100 real estate agents whether or not they want you to reach out to them before you've done your pre-approvals and all that other stuff, 99% of them will probably tell you, no, I don't want you to reach out to me until you're already pre-approved. But I'm different. I'm not like them. I would much rather you, even if you are 6 months, a year. So one of my clients that I just closed with came to me literally over a year and a half ago, and we're about to close on their house in a couple weeks, right? And so throughout that process, we got to know each other better. I got to know their needs. I got to know their goals and kind of what is most important to them. And I was able to point them in the direction of resources and things that could help them along the way, tips that could help them save better, tips that could help them with their credit just a little bit better, And all of those things are getting us to the point where we're actually about to close on their home in just a few weeks, where I think honestly, if they would have just gone out on their own and tried to figure out some of these things without me, I think it would have taken us a little bit longer to do, just based on some of the habits and the communication that they gave me, the things that they were doing and trying before we actually met each other, right? So I know for a fact that coming to a real estate consultant, whether or not that's me or if you're somewhere else and you want to choose somewhere else, I think that working with a real estate consultant and reaching out and getting that expertise of somebody that's in the business full time, that knows what they're doing and can point you in the right direction, is a game changer in setting you up with a strategy and a game plan to get things going in the right direction. So having that mindset shift, number one, and then reaching out to a real estate consultant. Hit the comment section if that makes sense to you. I hope it does, but I would much rather you come to me than just be out in the wilderness doing your own thing on your own. The next thing that we're going to do after we've had that conversation and we've kind of talked through your goals and what kind of house is going to be, we're going to get you connected with a lender. Again, some people don't want you to talk to a lender, and I've had some lenders that I used to use in the past that would just be like, don't really send anybody to me until they're ready to basically do something. And all of those lenders that I once used in my past when I first got into the business, if they have any kind of an attitude like that, I've cut them off. I'm only working with people right now that are in it for the long haul to make sure that they're doing the best by you and doing the right thing and the decisions for you to help you get the best financing terms that work for your life right now. And so even if you are 6 months, 12 months, 18 months out, I want to put you in touch with people that are going to take care of you and make sure that you are in the best position for where you are right now and where you're trying to be in the future. And so we have to make sure that you're being taken care of, even if you feel like you're too early. You know, a conversation with a lender that knows what they're doing and knows where they're going can say, hey, you need to start putting this much money to the side, or hey, you can get this kind of a secured credit card to maybe boost up your credit, or hey, you can take this class to get this grant, to get this down payment. Like all of these things kind of open up once we've had the conversation about what your goals are, you've had the mindset shift, and we've connected you with a qualified lender or two to kind of get you heading in the right direction towards home ownership. So that is the point number 3. And coming along with that, once you've had that conversation with you, you then get your timeline together of when it makes the most sense to actually get pre-approved. Now, if you are 6 months out, 12 months out, 18 months out, that's too soon to kind of know what you need to do and where you are to get pre-approved. Now, I am along the lines of I would rather do a pull right now just so I have a game plan and a mindset of what I'm actually qualified to buy before I start having all of these conversations with people. But every person is different. I also know that I have great credit. So one credit pull to see what I qualify for right now isn't going to hurt me in the grand scheme of things because I have a very high credit score. But if you're kind of on the edge, or if you're in that low 600s or mid 600s and you're not quite sure if you're ready to do anything, then we're going to narrow down your timeline and you would only apply when it makes the most sense. But getting that pre-approval is honestly the first step into doing any kind of a search, because anything that you're doing without knowing what you can actually qualify for or what you can actually afford is just a waste of time. You're going to end up fighting yourself in the future. Future you is going to be in love with this HGTV vision, and we got to make sure that the finances actually align with what that vision is. And if it doesn't, we just need to adjust, right? No harm, no foul. Back at our first house back in San Antonio all those years ago, we were only approved for $125,000. We found a townhome that ended up being one of the best decisions that we have literally ever made, and has trickled down into helping us do where we are and get to where we are right now, just because we bought the best of what we can afford. But that all starts with getting that original pre-approval to say, hey, we got the green light to shop in this price point. So you definitely want to have the mindset shift, get you a dope real estate consultant like me. I'm waving my hand, shameless plug. That person is going to get you in touch with a real estate lender, just so you know what you actually can get approved for. And then we're going to go into the next step, and that is to kind of strategize what is best for your budget, right? So it's no secret that Houston is an appreciating market. Things are going up in value like crazy. And so at a certain price point, we're going to have to maybe strategize or get and think out of the box. And one of the ways that I have helped my clients do that is finding houses that are off market. If you're at a price point where you can afford new construction, that's a little bit easier. Or if you are at a price point that's below kind of what the average single family home sales price is right now, which was about $430. If you're under that price point, we're going to have some strategy talks. We're going to have to talk about whether we're buying a fixer upper, or we're targeting multifamily houses, or we're trying to find something that's off market. We have to have that strategy and often kind of think about what your ultimate goals are. Is this going to be a rental for you? Is this a forever house for you? And once we have that strategy kind of thought out and talked through, then we can make our next steps, and that is going into touring homes. And now this is probably the biggest difference in the last few years because the market is just so crazy. It's so chaotic. You know, I've put in offers on a house, and then we get the response from the listing agent that there were 45 other offers. And that's not an exaggeration. There were 45 other people that submitted an offer on that same house, right? And so you have to be willing to kind of grind out a little bit harder, or you have to get a little bit creative with what you're doing in this market. You know, if a house is priced appropriately, if it is in a good area and it looks good, there's going to be multiple offers on it. There's just no way around it, just because there's not enough houses for the amount of people that want to buy a house in this market. So as we're touring in this time frame, you can kind of get that buyer's fatigue if you maybe strike out on a couple houses, but I want you to kind of keep an open mind. And like I said, buy the best of what you can afford and where you feel comfortable. So it may not have the cosmetic things that you want right now, but does it have the layout? Does it have that bonus room that was so important to you? Does it have a nice backyard? Does it have that pool? Is it tied to great schools? When you're touring, you're kind of checking off things on your list, and you're ranking them from your must-haves all the way down to the things that you want. And simple things like paint, you know, cosmetics, you know, changing out flooring, changing out countertops, changing out little things here and there. Hardware can make a huge difference. And that's sometimes some things that you can do after the fact to bring it to a place that you want it to be without having to stress and maybe fight with something that's already a little bit more turnkey in such a crazy market. So touring homes is going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be some highs and lows. I'm not going to even lie about it. It's going to be challenging because you may or may not get that first one. And I have some strategies to kind of help us nudge us over the edge to help our chances. But in this market, there's nothing that you can really do if we put in a great offer and somebody decides that they want to go in all cash for $50,000 over ask. There's only so much you can do in those kind of situations. So you just have to be patient. You have to be diligent. You have to stick to your budget so you don't feel like you're doing anything crazy that's going to put you in a bad situation where you feel house poor or overly strained, and you have to just let the chips kind of fall where they may. But at the end of the day, we're going to tour and we're going to find something that is a great fit for you. Hit the comments if that makes sense. I'm hoping that I'm not scaring you away, but I want you to be kind of aware of what this market really is and understand what it's going to be like to get that first home. And so after we have toured some homes and we've narrowed it down and we found the one that we actually like, we're going to put in an offer, right? And in that time frame, you know, things are a little bit different now. Sometimes they make you wait a few days to give you the seller's final decision, or they'll be like, you know, we go and tour it on a Thursday or Friday and they're saying like the best and final is due by Monday. It's a whole different game out there, but we're going to submit an offer. And for the sake of right now, let's just say that offer gets accepted, right? And so now that we are under contract, we are doing all the things that we need to do. We're getting our inspections done. We're turning in the money that we need to get turned in. We're getting all of these things worked out on our end to make sure that we are comfortable with what that house is and, you know, the things that we see. In this market, it is also currently unlikely that the seller is going to do any seller credits or if they're going to do any major repairs. All of these kind of things are what they are right now. Now, I've had some that the seller has been willing to do some repairs, and I've had some where the seller has flat out told me, I'll wait for you to back out of the contract. I got 10 other buyers ready, willing, and able to take it as is. And you and I, we can discuss it and kind of make that determination of whether or not we think that's a good decision for you in your current financial situation and where you stand and what your ultimate goals are. We can have that conversation. But the market kind of is what it is right now. And so if you're not going new construction, it's a whole different kind of ball game in that resale or old home market. But we get the house accepted, we're under contract, and we're doing all of our inspections. If the inspections come through and everything is good right now, we are in, what is known as like escrow, and we're kind of working with the title companies and doing all that mysterious things of transferring and getting the documents ready to transfer the house from the old owner's name and into your name. And then one of the most important things that I try to remind my clients not to do right now is don't make any big purchases. Don't go get a car. Don't go get a bunch of furniture in your name. Don't buy a bunch of things. Anything that's going to be over like $500, don't do it right now. I've literally had clients that we were working our way towards buying a home and towards closing, and they went and bought a car, and then they no longer qualified for that loan that they were in underwriting for. I've also had one almost have fallen out of escrow just because they didn't listen to me. Against my will, they went and bought like all of their appliances, and that ended up being like a $4,000 or $5,000 decision right before they closed, and they had to explain all that in underwriting. And eventually we did close, but they had to save up some extra money, and this was a couple years ago before everything was so crazy, right? So don't make any big decisions, don't make any big purchases, don't put anything else in your name, anything that can throw off the lenders and the things that they have in the underwriting process as they're getting you ready to move towards the closing table, you don't want to do. So like I said, don't take on big trips, no surgeries, nothing crazy that you can avoid without explaining to your lenders what you're planning on doing, and then kind of getting the okay of what kind of backup you're going to do, or whether or not you need to move some things around timing wise to make sure that you are still okay with the current guidelines that they're giving you to make it to the closing table. And if you are cool with that and you've listened to your lender and you've done everything we said and everything's good, we're going to do one more final walk. Everything is good. The house didn't flood. No one's broken into it. No one's stolen anything from it. Everything's all good. You're still happy. You're still here. And we have made it to the closing table. We're going to take some pictures. I might ask you for a review. You're going to give me a great review because I've taken care of you. You've become my family. We're texting each other back and forth every day. Everything is all good. You're going to get a fire gift from me. You're going to be happy. You're going to move into your home, and you are now a homeowner in one of the fastest appreciating cities in the US. And so that's the process. It is very simple. It can feel overwhelming. I understand. I've done it. I was there. I was in your shoes, and I didn't quite feel everything, was explained to me. And I feel like in this video, I gave you all the tips and tricks of what you got to do to actually buy a home in this market. And I'm hoping that I conveyed it in a clear way as possible. So that's the video for the day. This is how you buy your first house in the city of Houston and surrounding suburbs. If there's anything that I can help you with, hit me with a carrier pigeon, hit me in my social media, hit me with a text, whatever you got to do to get in touch with me. I would love to be your guide and your resource in buying your first home in the greater city of Houston and the surrounding suburbs. How did I do? Did I scare you off? Did I make you more prepared? Hit me up if there's anything I can help you with. I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope you have an amazing day.